Okay, so today our topic is quadratic equation, and this quadratic equation in one variable only x. So this is the chapter summary what we are going to study. Number one, introduction of quadratic equation. Okay, so what is quadratic equation? We will give an introduction. Then roots of quadratic equation. What are the roots of the quadratic equation? Then how to solve quadratic equation. There are two methods to solve a quadratic equation: by factorization method, in which we use to split middle term. In previous classes you might have studied, and by using quadratic formula. So this is the solution of quadratic equation. Then we will study nature of roots. You know, quadratic equation has any quadratic equation has two roots. So we will study the nature of the roots. And finally, in this chapter, we will study application of quadratic equation. You can say the word problem of a quadratic equation. These problems will involve like age problem, geometry problem, speed and time problem, etc. So this is the chapter summary. So now we are going to start from introduction of quadratic equation. So what is a quadratic equation? An equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. An equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, where a, b and c are real numbers, b where a, b and c are real numbers, and a is not equal to 0 is called quadratic equation. This is the introduction of quadratic equation. It means any equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, where obviously these are coefficient a, b and c, so these are real numbers, providing a not equal to 0. It is a condition, it is mandatory. A should not be equal to 0. B or C may or may not be 0, but A should not equal to 0. So this type of equation is called a quadratic equation. So this is the introduction of quadratic equation, right? So we can take some example of quadratic equation like x square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. So this is the quadratic equation. So what are the coefficient? Here a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 5, and c, which is a constant, is equal to 6. So this is the example of quadratic equation. Suppose I am writing down x square minus 2x plus 3 is equal to 5 plus x square. So if I ask whether it is a quadratic equation or not, no, because x square can be cancelled from both the sides. Then after simplification, we will not have a term which is having x square. So because there is no x square in the expression, so this is not a quadratic equation. For a quadratic equation, the expression must have x square terms. Otherwise, it is not a quadratic equation. So this was the introduction of quadratic equation. So now come to the second point, roots of quadratic equation. What are the roots of quadratic equation? Remember, quadratic equation is always having a degree 2. Okay, because maximum power of x is 2. So the degree of every quadratic equation is 2. So it must have 2 and only 2 roots. It must have only 2 roots because the degree of quadratic equation is 2. So what are the roots of a quadratic equation? Suppose I am writing down x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 2. And suppose we have to check whether these two values are the roots of the quadratic equation or not. It is so easy. If I am putting x is equal to 1 in the equation, so we can check 1 square 1, then 5 into 1 minus 5, then plus 6. So 6 plus 7 minus 5 is not equal to 0. So x is equal to 1 is not satisfying this expression, this equation. So x is equal to 1 is not a root of this quadratic equation. Now we can check at x is equal to 2 whether x is equal to 2 is the solution of quadratic equation or not. So for this we can put x is equal to 2 in place of x. So x 2 square 4, then 5 into 2 10 plus 6 equal to 0. So 6 plus 4 10 minus 10 0 equal to 0. Yes, of course it is satisfied. So x is equal to 2 is the solution of this quadratic equation. So remember, if anything is a solution, x is equal to whatever be the real number is a solution of a quadratic equation, then this value will definitely satisfy the quadratic equation. If it is not a root, then it will not satisfy that quadratic equation. So in this example, 1 is not the root of this quadratic equation, but 2 is the root of this quadratic equation. So obviously it is a quadratic equation. It will have two roots. Okay, so these are about roots of quadratic equation. Okay, so now we have the third point, solution of quadratic equation. So as I have told you, there are two methods. Number one by factorization and number two by quadratic formula. So first of all, we will do some question on point number 2. Roots of quadratic equation. So you have to understand roots of the quadratic. Okay. So is the given equation is quadratic. Okay. This is from the introduction. So I have taken this example to check your skill. So we will check whether this equation is quadratic or not. So to check quadratic equation, we have to find the existence of term having x square. If there is no x square, then this equation will no more quadratic. So let's check. Okay, so multiply these two brackets, 2x to 3x, 2 3s are 6x square, then minus 4x, 1 into 3x plus 3x and minus 2. And then on right hand side, first multiply these two brackets, x square, then minus 2x, then plus x and minus 2. Okay, so solving first left hand side, minus 4x plus 3x minus x and minus 2. Then on right hand side, 6 into x square, then minus x, then minus 2. So 6x square minus x minus 2 equal to 0. Multiply 6x square minus 6x and minus 12. So 6x square left hand and right hand side both it can be cancelled out. So we will bring 6x here. So 6x and minus plus 6x and it is 5x and minus 12 it is plus 10 and equal to 0. Finally, the expression is not having x square. So there is no x square in the expression. So the given expression is not a quadratic equation. Okay, so now we'll take more example. Okay, so we have a question. Solve the given quadratic equation. So we have to solve this quadratic equation, and we will solve this quadratic equation by factorization. Method. So we have to solve this quadratic equation by factorization method. As I have already told you, there are two methods to solve a quadratic equation. Number one, factorization, and number two, by using quadratic formula. So first we will study how to solve a quadratic equation by factorization. So see the coefficient of this quadratic equation. This is 3, which is a. this is minus 14, which is B, and this is the constant term, which is C. So this is called middle term. In factorization, we have to write middle term here. Now we have to split it up, middle term, into two fragments whose product is equal to 3 8s are 24. So I am repeating, we have to split the middle term, it means B, which is minus 14, into two parts whose product is 24. Okay, so there is a way, minus 12 and minus 2. See, minus 12 and minus 2 will make minus 14, then we add and when we multiply minus 12 to minus 2, we will get plus 24. So it means we have split it up the middle term into two parts. So now we will write like this, first term as it is. Then instead of minus 14, first we write minus 12 with x, then minus 2 with x and plus 8 as it is. So first and third terms are as it is, but the middle term is split up into two parts. Okay, now we will take common in these two. So 3 may be common and x is also a common. So we'll get x minus 4. Then here from we can take minus 2 as a common. Then x minus 4 equal to 0. Then x minus 4. This bracket is again common. And we will left with 3x minus 2 equal to 0. So now these two products are making 0. So either this factor may be 0 or this. So we will put these two factors separately equal to 0. First x minus 4 equal to 0. Then 3x minus 2 equal to 0. So x is equal to 4 and here 3x is equal to 2, then x is equal to 2 by 3. So now roots are 4, 2 by 3. So as I have already told you, any quadratic equation has two roots. So finally this is called factorization method. So there are two roots we have obtained, 4 and 2 by 3. Now we will study the quadratic formula. Okay. Okay, so we have another question. We have to solve quadratic equation, but this quadratic equation we have to solve by using quadratic formula. So sometimes though it is given that solve this equation by quadratic formula, and sometimes we know there are quadratic equation in which we cannot split up middle term easily into two parts so that the product is minus 10. So whenever we come through such type of situation, so we have to use quadratic formula. I mean whenever we are having irrational roots. So whenever we are having irrational roots, then we have to solve the quadratic equation by quadratic formula. So see the process of quadratic formula. First of all, we have to find what is a, and we have to compare the quadratic equation with ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. So compare it, you will get a is equal to 1, then b is equal to minus 5, and then c is equal to minus 10. Then what is the quadratic formula? X is equal to minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac upon 2a. So we will put all the values. Minus in place of b we will put minus 5, then plus minus b square, it means minus 5 whole square, minus 4 into in place of a 1 and in place of c minus 10 and upon 2 into 1. So x is equal to minus plus 5 plus minus, it is 25 and it is plus 40 and upon 2. So we have x is equal to 5 plus minus, it is under root 65 and upon 2. Now we have to find the square root of under root 65. So we can check it, we can find it. What is the square root of under root 65? So here I can tell you 5 plus minus 8.062 upon 2. So here you have to check that we have to find the answer in 2 decimal place. So remember, if you have to find the answer up to 2 decimal place, to kindly put the square root value up to 3 decimal place, so that you can finally round it off. Okay, so we have two options, 5 plus 8.062 upon 2. Then another option is 5 minus 8.062 upon 2. So x is equal to, so we will add it 13.062 upon 2, comma, so we will subtract it, so 8 minus 5, which is negative 3.062 upon 2. So now we can divide it to 6 to 12, then 5, 2, 3 and 1, then minus 2, 1, then 2, 5, 2, 3 and 1. But we have to give the answer up to 2 decimal place. So we will round it off because 1 is smaller than 5. So we can give this answer only. Yani 1 root is 6.53 and the second root is negative minus 1.53. So these are the two roots of the equation. This is the question directly asked in the examination. So this is we can say that how can we use quadratic formula.